breakfast, my good evening and welcome to the Manx Radio Folk Show with me, John Barker, playing you the best in folk and roots music from the Isle of Man and from all around the world. Well, Yn Chruinnaght has well and truly started, with a great gig by Ruru last night at the Centenary Centre. I'll give you a rundown of what else is happening this week later in the show. But for now, here's Rachel Hare and Ron Jappy from their album Sparks, with the Black-Haired Lad, the Glen Burnie Rant and Jamie Shearers. They're playing at St John's Royal Chapel on Friday night at 7:30. Look at the Yn Chruinnaght website for your tickets. Next up is a brand new recording of Manx music. This is Jack McLean, who released a video on YouTube and TikTok, I believe, not that people of my age know anything about that, of him performing Berlin Gorry Crovan. Jack plays all the instruments and does the singing too, and it's absolutely wonderful. So thanks to Jack for sending me the audio file, and here it is for your pleasure.
Sling the Lochlanny, Henkeregas Manning, there's a Murrafran, a Rye, Bell and Gorry Crovan, Jack the Torn and Asia Gear, Gowers Gimme Yago, Aqua Furnace, Dan a Son, Higher Reed Stura, Oh, Run Sullivan, Oh, Miriam Sullivan, Oh, Run Sullivan, Oh, Bell and Gorry Crovan, Oh, Run Sullivan, Oh, Miriam Sullivan, Oh, Run Sullivan, Oh, Bell and Gorry Gadila and Gould, show me Askis Manning, Ingley Marron and Rybel and Gorry Crovan, Rocket Susan, Shona Main, Hum the Majatavi, Yarabul Yarakim, Posnik on the Hera, Oh, Van Sullivan, Oh, Miriam Sullivan, Oh, Van Sullivan, Oh, Bell and Gorry Crovan, Oh, Van Sullivan, Oh, Miriam Sullivan, Oh, Van Sullivan. Croven, will ye one year a try, Hank the old Gory, Cheek your red Milgory host, Chris Milgalsatunya, Yara a man and he railed to Scorry Croven, oh, Ramsnoven, oh, Iriel Selven, oh, Ramsnoven, oh, Bellingory Croven, oh, Ramsnoven, oh, Iriel Selven, oh, Ramsnoven, oh, Bellingory Croven.
A wonderful new track by Jack McLean there, excellent stuff. Continuing the great dynasty of music of the McLean family from Dave, Tom, Alana and many others I'm sure, and now Jack. You can see Jack perform as part of Clash 4, with his granddad Dave of course, at Black Dog in Peel later this week. I think it's on Friday the 25th at about 8 p.m. Next up, let's have a song by Dick Gaughan. There's a big crowdfunding appeal at the moment to get some of his old albums re-released and provide him with some funds because he's not been very well of late. This is from his classic album Handful of Earth. It's Craigie Hill.
In spring and the small birds they were singing down by a shitty harbour, a carelessly did stray, where the thrushes they were warbling, the violets were charming. For the view two lovers talking while I did delay. She said, my dear, don't leave me all for another season. Though fortune may be pleased, and I'll go along with you. I'll forsake friends and relations and quit this Irish nation, and to the bonny man banks forever I'll bid adieu. He said, my dear, don't grieve me, or yet annoy my patience. You know I love you dearly, although I'm going away. I'm going to some foreign nation to purchase a plantation, for to comfort us hereafter, all in America. The landlords and their regents, their bailiffs and their our beagles, the land of our forefathers. We're forced for to give o'er, for we're sailing on the ocean for honor and promotion. And we're parting with our sweethearts, it's them we do adore. If you were in your bed lying and thinking on dying, one side to the bonny banks, your sorrows you'd give o'er. And if you were but 1 hour all in her shady bower, pleasure would surround you, you'd think on death no more. So fare thee well, sweet Craigie Hill, where oftentimes I rode. I never thought in my childhood days I'd part you anymore, for we're sailing on the ocean for honor and promotion. And the bonny boats a-sailing way down by Dublin shore.
I received a CD here at Manx Radio Towers from a new Scottish band called Airdan, A-I-R-D-A-N, described by Celtic Music Radio as delivering raw energy and a modern young twist. They feature the talents of Paul Sinclair on fiddle, Cole Williamson on accordion, David Lennon on guitar, and Ewa Ademic on drum kit. The album's produced by Anna Massey, no less, and I'm going to play you a couple of tracks from it tonight. This first one is called Gibson's Platter, which actually consists of 2 tunes, Sen Polska, Fran Torp, and Mrs. Gibson's Platter. Next, a track from a great but perhaps underrated album, Stiff's Lovers, Holy Men, Thieves by Tim Van Eycken. He's actually performing at Saltburn Folk Festival, which I'm going to in a couple of weeks' time, in a trio with Nancy Kurt and James Fagan. I've never seen him before, so that'll be interesting. The album was released in 2006, and on this track it actually features Nancy Kerr on vocals. This is Gypsy Maid.
For how can a poor gypsy like me ever hope the proud bride of a noble to be? To some bright jewel beauty thy vows will be paid, and you will forget her, the poor gypsy maid. And you will forget her, the poor gypsy maid.
Think not those thoughts I am free to devote all the love of my spirit to thee. Young rose of the wilderness, blushing and sweet, my heart, all my fortune, I'll lay at your feet. My heart, all my fortune, I'll lay at your feet. By the moon up above, that can change like man's love, by the sun's constant ray, that chase night's tears away. Oh, never by me will your trust be betrayed. I'll love you forever, my own gypsy maid. I'll love you forever, my own gypsy maid.
Go flatter and practice not your art, and trifle no more with the poor maiden's heart. Let me die in the shade of my own native glade, and betray not the heart of the poor gypsy maid, and betray not the heart of the poor gypsy maid.
Then come with me now.
Can I trust thy vow?
Yes, please come away.
You'll never betray.
No, never by me will your trust be betrayed. I'll love you forever, my own gypsy maid. I'll love you forever, my own gypsy maid. I'll love you forever, my own gypsy maid.
Tremolo's my favourite effect on an electric guitar, and there's lots of it on that album, so that's no bad thing. Here's another track from the album by Mary Morrison, Alistair Roberts and Pete Johnson, Remembered in Exile, Songs and Ballads from Nova Scotia. This is the Bonny House of Airlie.
summer's day, and the sun it shone most clearly, that there fell out a great dispute between Argyle and Airlie. Lady Ogilvy looked over the high castle wall, and she vowed and she sighed right sincerely when she saw the great Argyle and all his Highland men come to plunder the bonny house so early. Come downstairs, Lady Ogilvy, he cries. Come down and kiss me fairly, and I'll swear by the sheath of my good broadsword that I winna leave a standing stone in Airlie. Come down to you, Argyle. I won't come down to kiss you fairly. I will not come down to you, great Argyle, if you will leave a standing stone in
More new music now. This is from an album called Here to Stay by Jocelyn Pettit and Ellen Gira. They're Canadian Folk Music Award winners and are a dynamic fiddle and cello duo. First meeting in Scotland, they joined their musical forces and been gracing stages and captivating audiences in North America, UK and Europe. This track is called Bellechasse. Wonderful music there by Jocelyn Pettit and Ellen Gira. I must play something else from that album very soon for you. Here's a track from an album from nearly 10 years ago by John McCusker, Chris Drever and Roddy Woomble. Before the Ruin it was called. And this track is The Poorest Company. More from Chris Drever near the end of the show.
Well, the world feels like the words are breathing in and out of me, and I'm standing beside you as a shadow where a man should be. I would be glad enough if wherever I might be, people would remember we're woven in this tapestry. When we steal what we can with the courage to be free, and I've found where I belong among the poorest company. When the world feels like the world and useless spinning all round me, a country round my shoulders, its flag raised on a gallows tree, and I won't let it get me down. I know there are people now who bind together what they do and live their lives like I want to. When we steal what we can, I take everything I see, and I found where I belong among the poorest company. When we steal what we can with the courage to be free, and I found where I belong among the poorest company.
Here's the second track from that album by the new band Erden. The album's called Cosmic, and this is the Loopy Paddlers. I suppose I should dedicate this to my kayaking friends. Here's a track from Honey and the Bear, whose performance at the Institute last year we very much enjoyed. Their album Away Beyond the Fret was released in 2023, but I think they've got some new music on the way soon. I do hope so. This is Make This Land Our Own.
With the keys to our own
I was listening to Lau Unplugged the other day, an album I'm not really listening to that much, and came across this wonderful version of Ghosts. This really is just about my favourite song by them, and by Chris Drever in general. It's such a compassionate song exploring the plight of those unfortunate people forced to travel to our shores, and in particular their offspring, who were born here.
We say we're not like them. A generation ago, we came on the same ships, we were heading below. We came seeking protection away from the strife, away from the struggles and the hardships of life. I'm not an newcomer. My parents were ghosts. Sir, I was born here, so where would I go? There's ghosts on the motorway. The world is on fire. There's ghosts on the sand flats as the water gets higher and higher. There's ghosts in the brothels behind thick stony walls. There's ghosts and their children in prison food halls. I'm not an newcomer. My parents were ghosts. Sir, I was born here, so where would I go? I'm not an newcomer. My parents were ghosts. Sir, I was born here, so where would I go? I'm
So, music happening here on the Alaman this week. Well, it's Yn Chruinnaght, so there's an awful lot. You can find out the details of everything related to Yn Chruinnaght from their website, ynchrunnaght.com. That's YNCHRUINNAGHT.com, where you can download the programme. But here's a quick oversight of some of the things happening. Tomorrow, that's Wednesday, between 5 and 7 at Black Dog Oven in Peel, there's music and pizza. 7 p.m. in Miller's Tale, again in Peel, there's the Miller's Mini Session. At 7:30 p.m. in the Masonic Hall in Peel, Celtic Myths and Legends Ceilidh. 7:30 p.m. in the Sailors' Shelter in Peel are the Barley Shakes, who I believe are from Australia, Time Flies and Mark Lawrence. And of course it's the usual O'Donnell session in Douglas, starting about 8:45. So I'm sure some of the musicians from Yn Chruinnaght will be along at that session too. On Thursday, Noah Bakehouse, Welsh Food and Folk session at lunchtime. And there's all sorts of other things happening in Peel. You can always go along to the House of Minan and catch live music outside if the weather's good. There'll be more music at Black Dog Oven and Miller's Tale. And at Centenary Centre there's Celtic Myths and Legends concert and a late night session at the White House. On Friday, there's an Irish Food and Folk session at Noah Bakehouse. Live music at the Sailing Club in the afternoon. And again, between 5 and 7 at Black Dog there'll be music and pizza and Miller's Tale as well from 7. The Megamanx Ceilidh is in the cathedral that evening. And as I've said already, at St John's Royal Chapel, Rachel Hare and Ron Jappy are playing from 7:30. With more music at Black Dog Oven in the evening. I think that one's the Clash 4 gig. Saturday, in the grounds of the Cathedral and Corrin Hall, there are free music, song, drama and dance displays. Golf putting, face painting and much more for all the family. There's also music workshops at the Centenary Centre and from 5 p.m, music and pizza of course at Black Dog Oven. Live music also in the Sailing Club and at Miller's Tale. And the last gig at the Centenary Centre of the festival is the Callum Stewart Trio concert, starting at 7:30. On Sunday, finally, there's the Survivors session at Black Dog Oven. But going back to the gig on Saturday night, my last track for tonight's show is by Callum Stewart from the excellent album, as I've said before, True North, and this is The Snipe. I'll be back next week to play you more great folk and music from the Isle of Man and from all around the world, and I hope you'll join me then.